Hey, this is Matt once again. We're about to another video. There's another request, this time for John and Lindsey, who wanted a commentary on two films, including Die Hard. And for the occasion, I did spiel a little bit for myself for Christmas. I bought something online, a pack of this. It says they don't have it around here. I remember that taste. Again, it was more expensive than I wanted, but it's Christmas, I wanted to treat myself, and I'm watching Die Hard. So fuck it. So, did you into it? 3, 2, 1, pressing play. A Christmas classic. In my opinion, it's a Christmas... I mean, it is a Christmas movie, despite what Bruce Willis and others want to say. It's not a Christmas movie. Yes, it is. It takes place on Christmas. Christmas is a part of it. There's tons of references to Christmas. I have a machine gun. Ho, ho, ho. Now, this is a film directed by John Mctiernan. It's his third film. He had done this film called Nomads, which I don't remember too much about. And then after that, he had done Predator. And it was a studio film. It was a big hit for the summer of '87. And Die Hard, again, was one of those films that was serendipity. I mean, John McTiernan, with the success of Predator, 20th Century Fox says, okay, we'll give him a little bit of leeway, we'll give him a little bit of creative control. Who do you want in this film? And apparently they approached a lot of people. You had Arnold, Sly, like tons of others, and they all said no for various reasons. And then, hey, that guy from Moonlighting, Bruce Willis. This is when Bruce Willis seemed to give a shit about his performances. Now he's a soulless individual. I think at one point, since this is kind of based on a certain novel, they had to offer it to Frank Sinatra, because technically it's a sequel. The book, the book was a sequel to something. I think it was called The Detective. And since it's kind of based on that, they're like, hey, Frank Sinatra, we have to offer it to you. And they're like, okay, nah, I don't want to do it. Which was good fortune, because I don't see Frank Sinatra doing this. And it's one of those things where it's just such a simple idea that it makes you go, why didn't someone do this in the first place? How come someone has not done this beforehand? Got a little bit of water for the throat. You have a building, you have a guy trapped in the building with a bunch of bad guys. He's got to survive and take them out one by one. And it all started a whole subgenre. I mean, you had sudden death, you had cliffhanger, you had Under Siege, you had a multitude of films, Die Hard in a blank type of movies. And sorry for the clearing of the throat. It's that time of the season, so it's the best I can do. I'm kind of a sucker for that kind of movie. I'm a sucker for those Die Hard in a blank movies. Because a lot of times you get construed the claustrophobia of the setting, and you have your hero trapped. Where can he go? There's only a limited amount that he could go. And you have to really relate to non-stop action if done the right way, of course. And then the Nakatomi Plaza, you know, a lot of it using for the actual Fox buildings, Fox lot. And again, people want to tell us that Christmas movie, there's all these Christmas references. There's Christmas time, Christmas party, John McClane bringing a gift for Christmas. You know, Die Hard 2 is technically a Christmas movie as well. And we're setting up the rest of the family, which we'll relate to later on, where how do the bad guys realize she is, or was, with John McClane, because William Atherton's a dickhead and see the news and then gets him found out. And this whole setup, like, you have this hero that is not perfect in the slightest. He's got marriage problems. He's got typical, normal, everyday problems. He has arguments with his wife. He's not muscle-bound Stallone Schwarzenegger. He's just a regular guy with an attitude and a wise-ass personality. And there's Argyle. And this is one of those movies that, to me, is a classic for a number of reasons. You got a wonderful hero who, like I mentioned, is not the typical type of hero. He's the everyday man. You have a wonderful villain in Hans Gruber. Alan Rickman played him perfectly. And you think he's just a terrorist, but he's not. He's a lot more than a terrorist. He's got more going for it. It's all an elaborate scheme for this theft. He's a smart guy. He's a sinister guy. Alan Rickman plays that very well. You got humor that's genuine. You got action that is exciting. It's a long film, but it doesn't feel long. And again, a great setup. Being trapped in this building around Christmas time. And, you know, this is the time where your characters could fucking smoke cigarettes. Now it's almost against the fucking law to do that. And then Nakatomi Plaza, it's such a great look for a building. Like, I just see why that's definitely a building that sticks out look-wise. Because you don't want to be there for the rest of the movie. There's going to be a bunch of outside shots. And then I mentioned, you know, John Mctiernan. After this, he did The Hunt for Red October. He did Die Hard with a Vengeance, which is a great sequel. He did a couple other films. Basic I enjoyed. Rollerball remake I would say is his worst. Or yeah, I would say that's his worst one. And then there was this whole thing where he got in trouble. He fucked up, jail time, and I think he's out and just has never worked since. So you even got Christmas music. It's not the typical Christmas music, but it's still Christmas music. If people want to keep saying it's not a Christmas movie. Jeb Stewart and Stephen E. D'Souza. Stephen E. D'Souza, when he was worth his shit. Instead, after this, he would go on to direct films like Street Fighter with Jean-Claude Van Damme. And help write films a la Judge Dredd with Stallone. And I'm a Stallone fan, but I'm not a fan of that movie. I think John McClane in this movie just seemed cool. His reactions. Even though Bruce Willis, you know, has that, you know, that look. It still didn't come out as drowsy or sleepy or boring like most of his performances do nowadays, where he's just cashing the paycheck for such lazy, lousy acting that's ridiculous. Yeah, I showed up and I said a few lines, then See, I'm allergic to Bruce Willis' bullshit nowadays. That does a nice job establishing your characters. Get into the tech of the future in '88, touchscreens, but also not just showcase technology, but showcase a little bit of character where she doesn't use her last name, which causes even more friction. Okay, she doesn't use McLean, she don't use Gennaro. There you go. I said, wow, won't even use my last name. So again, shows just how far apart they are as characters. That's one thing that was disappointing with the later Die Hard films, is that all this work to get together with these two diehards, and then Die Hard with a Vengeance. I love Die Hard with a Vengeance. At least it ended with them getting ready to talk on the phone. But I love Live Free or Die Hard, but I didn't care for the fact that, you know, they were separated. And this actor, I forgot this actor's name who plays Argyle. In a way, it's kind of a nice cozy role where most of the film you're just in this limo, relaxed, talking to yourself, singing to yourself. Like for most of the movie, you know, after this initial 10 minutes, now he's in this for the entire film until he drives his car into and knocks out Theo, one of the bad guys. See, there's a Christmas tree. Again, all the people want to see is that Christmas movie. I don't know what the fuck they're talking about. Everywhere you look is Christmas. There's Christmas music, there's Christmas talk, there's Christmas trees. Not Christmas music my ass. I mean, not Christmas movie my ass. Fucking California. Is that how it is normally in California? People just go up and kiss you on the cheek? Is that what's supposed to be between the difference between that and New York, where he's from? People who live in California, I guess you let me know. Do people just come up and kiss you on the cheek? A little bit of dialogue to explain why you don't see construction later on in the film. That there's parts under construction. A little bit of setup. Even though a little bit of setup of this guy being a drug abuser. You tell John McClane noticed that. That's why he's got that look on his face. Like he knows this guy's a coke fiend. It's like, yeah, okay, buddy. Yeah, that's what he says, miss some. He knows this guy's a cocaine abuser. But it's not his jurisdiction, so he can't arrest him or anything. This is Hart Bochner as Ellis. Hart Bochner. The other two films I recognize him in, he was in Terror Train. He was one of the guys who did the prank and later pays for his bad dues, so to speak. Later on in Terror Train, gets killed by the killer. Kind of the leader of the group of pranksters. And then the other one is Supergirl. He was the love interest to the title character. But most people remember him for this movie. I mean, how can you not? Hans, Bubby, I'm your white knight. That was Bonnie Bedelia as Holly. She did a great job. It's sad that she didn't continue to be in the other Die Hard films. Would have been nice to see her in there. There's that t-shirt. That t-shirt that's gonna last the whole night. And get dirtier and dirtier and dirtier. Trying, what is that tattoo on his left arm? I can't recognize what that tattoo is on his left arm. But got Evian water there. Yeah, sorry I'm not saying much. I don't want to blow everything when this is over 2-hour movie, so I don't want to kill my voice, but I just gotta try not to get lost in it, because this is a film that's, absolutely rewatchable anytime. It's such a classic movie, because it's a great mixture of actors with interesting characters to play, top-notch production, score, special effects, humor. And there's John have to create more trouble, just out of the blue. She offers him a place to stay. He's like, oh, well, you're not good enough to have my name, huh? I just didn't really see that a whole lot in action movies of this time, where you have your hero, arguing with his wife, which is what happens in the real world. You don't have a lot of, I mean, you think of the heroes of the day, Indiana Jones, Han Solo, Luke Skywalker. You have, Rocky, Rambo, Terminator, Commando, James Bond. Like, there's not many people who's like, oh, wow, the person has faults. Has faults, is not a perfect individual. And it's definitely not a superhero. Which I know that's the thing later on. John McClane kind of became a superhero. But I mean, I still enjoy Live Free or Die Hard. And Die Hard with a Vengeance. Yes, it's a little bit more superheroic in those movies. I get that. But, I mean, I still enjoy the character in those movies. I still enjoy the films as escapism. And that's what all these films are, is escapism. Except Die Hard 5, that's just total BS. Here we go. Here's Theo. I think his name is Clarence Delia. This is the guy that would be in Walker, Texas Ranger with Chuck Norris with the glasses. And then the other guy is Alexander Godunov. He was in The Money Pit. He was in Watch for Two, Lost in Time. And Sally, after North, sometime after that film North, which he had a little cameo in, he passed away. Way, way too soon. Yeah, there's Alexander Godunov. I want blood. You will have it. And blood squibs. Once in a while I've had people tell me what is a blood squib. Which, I mean, it's such that nowadays a lot of people don't know what that is. It's a little explosive charge, but very, but done in a way so it doesn't hurt someone. And so you hit a button and it goes, and you put a little bit of blood, like red coloring to make it look like blood, so it appears like you got shot. You just react and just looks a lot more real than the CGI stuff. I don't know why they can't. There are films that do it, but like the John Wick films, one of the few nitpicks that I have with the John Wick films is use squibs. Not so much CGI blood. I love the films. I love those films to death. But use some more squibs. You can afford it. Although the amount of people John Wick kills in those movies, it probably would take half the budget to put squibs on everybody, but it'd be well worth it. The bad guys have taken over. Rest in peace, Mr. Alan Rickman. There he is. This one guy who's going to be at the front watching for people to come in, he always, to me, looked a little bit like Huey Lewis. This guy here who's fixed up his collar. Was Huey Lewis from the news, but no. Yeah, it's not him. But Alan Rickman, again, may he rest in peace. Such a great choice. I mean, you look at other films he's done, Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, Quigley Down Under, Dogma, Galaxy Quest. Very talented guy. And from all I've heard, a very nice guy, too. Which is weird, because Alan Rickman played evil very well, but a lot of people say he's a nice guy. And then Bruce Willis, he's a wonderful hero, but for all intents and purposes I've heard, he's a fucking dickhead and a kind of a piece of shit human being, which is too bad. As in just a total asshole. Which is too bad because I do like his characters, I like his movies, but Bruce Willis sadly will never eat a piece of something called humble pie. Which I don't understand, like the guy doesn't realize how lucky he is that he got the chance to be in a film like Die Hard and then, you know, got the chance to star in these movies and just acted like a fucking diva for everything. But just absolutely ridiculous. It's like the male version of Sharon Stone. Behavior-wise, that is. Argyle with that big giant teddy bear in the back. Kind of makes me wonder, like, well, oh, like the scenes with Argyle, did they just shoot them all back to back to back? Like, okay, we got you here. Here's all your scenes. Okay, get in the back and do this. Get in the back and do that. Like, they just shot them all back to back to back to back. Because if that's the case, you could probably shoot all the stuff in one day. But it's nice that, you know, you set this stuff up and like later on he does something successful and bashes, you know, even these little supporting characters, they even have a life of their own. And that's another thing this movie does well. It gives life to its small supporting characters. Here we go. The party's starting. It's going to get started even more. There you go. Jingle bells and machine gun fire. Now that's Christmas. And you have a hero, he's scared, he's worried, doesn't know what to do next. It makes you wonder, like, what if this woman here, who's got her titties out, if they weren't around, them pay attention, what would John have done? Would he have just shot this guy and... But he had to think on his feet, so now he's got that shot there establishing he's barefoot. That's a good choice. Have a shot of his feet going up. really tell the audience, yeah, this guy's barefoot, and that's going to come up later as well. Like, they set little things up that actually do follow through for later on in the movie. It's a pretty damn good script. That's something that goes a bit undervalued, is the script for this movie. You're setting up the construction early on, so now you understand why this is all like this, why it looks like this. Which probably saved on the production, so it's like, well, you don't have to, fix this whole area up, spotless and clean. I always thought that was a weird shot. I wonder what the decision behind that is. John looking over, and there's like a woman with barely any clothes on across the street. It's such a weird cutaway. It makes me wonder why that's in the movie. Just to establish, like, wow, this woman's having a good day, and he's in the middle of this shit. Does it seem as if it's going to lead up to, is he going to try to contact that lady over there, or try to wave at her, or get her attention? No, that never comes up, so. So then Alan Rickman has to make, the interesting thing about his villain, he's got to make people appear he's this crazy terrorist for this regime, and have all these crazy demands, when all he gives a shit is about the money. But he doesn't want them to know that. He wants the FBI to go through all these ups and downs and hurdles. And the reason for doing it is to get the FBI involved, not just the local police. If it was just a robbery, the local police would handle it. But if it's a terrorist attack, bring the feds. Thus, one of their ordinary things to do is cut the power, which helps with their final portion of getting that fucking vault unlocked. Then, like, these are smart guys. He's not a dumb guy. And just, the villain, Alan Rickman, has such a charisma to him. Like, deliciously evil. See that Christmas trees there? Again, all this dark Christmas. I just saw a Christmas tree yet again. And there's Alan Rickman humming a Christmas song. Nice suit. I got two myself. Be ashamed to ruin it. Oh, he says that later. It's a good suit. Be ashamed to ruin it. See, even the villain has some fun bits of humor, levity to it. That's a little setup there for the later on, when how the fuck are they shooting on, where the fuck did they get this weaponry? Well, it shows that they're bringing it in. And when this film came out, like, I think a lot of people were not expecting how successful this film would be, and just how much of an influence it would be, especially going to the 90s. I mean, so many films have been influenced by Die Hard. And, well, I said before, it became a subgenre. Die Hard on a Train, Under Siege 2. Die Hard on a Plane, Executive Decision. Die Hard on a boat. I mean, you just say, technically, Under Siege. Even Speed 2 to an extent. Hockey Rink, Sudden Death. And the Mountains, Cliffhanger. Die Hard at a Rock Concert, Command Performance with Dolph Lundgren. I'm sure there's been a Die Hard in space. I'm trying to think of it though. I'm sure, I guarantee there's been a Die Hard in space. If there hasn't, there's an idea, Die Hard in space. But, well, I was going to say Lockout, but that's more like Escape from New York. in space. But again, the list goes on and on. And 1988 is such a good year for movies when you look back and it's like, oh wow, you got the Blob remake, you got Nightmare on Elm Street Part 4, and Friday the 13th Part 7, The New Blood, and Rambo 3, and just a lot. I mean, Phantasm 2. A lot of fun films in 88. Definitely one of my favorite years in terms of movies. Who said we were terrorists? I mean, yeah, Bruce Willis. I mean, at the time he was doing the TV show Moonlighting. He had done a couple films. He was in this one called Blind Date, which I didn't mind. I didn't mind Blind Date. And I think he was in was it before? No. There was a film called Billy Bathgate, but I don't know if that was before or after this. That might have been after this. I can't remember. But after this, I mean, his career soared. Because after this, it's like, okay, this is 88. Okay, 1990, Die Hard 2. 91 or so, The Last Boy Scout. Just all of these films just from, throughout the 90s. Mercury Rising and The Fifth Element, and later on The Sixth Sense, Pulp Fiction in 94, Die Hard with a Vengeance, which I think was 95. You had The Siege, you had a lot of movies in the 90s. The Jackal, Last Man Standing. This is pretty brutal right here. Ooh. Brain splatter right on the fucking glass door. That's pretty fucking brutal. And it really hits the point home that these are not guys to mess with. These are not, this fucking dangerous. It is brutal. It is bloody. And it definitely gives a visceral reaction. Like, one of those. And John McClane's playing it smart. You can't be Rambo and shoot them all, boom, 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 boom. And he even says it out loud just a little bit. Why the fuck did you stop him, John? 'Cause you be dead too, asshole. And there's our girl just using the fucking car phone as much as possible. I think he even said, that in that limo you got TV, phone, CD. You got a lot of stuff in that limo. You could fucking live there, practically. And yeah, like I said before, I love the Die Hard scenario. I love being this claustrophobic setting, whatever that happens to be. Right, cliffhanger's not really a claustrophobic setting, but still, even in there, you're almost limited to where you can go because of the nature, because of the cold, because of the events of that movie, what Stallone has to do. But particularly a film like this, where I think you're trapped in this building, there's only so many places you could go, up and down, and they utilize everything fairly well. I mean, especially the rooftop stuff, and it gives you a bang for your buck. A lot of the money is on the screen. See, and Hans Gruber knows that. There you go. Did you beat it too, asshole? Think, goddammit, think. I mean, I've seen this film so many times. Yeah, fire. Start a fire. Or a fire alarm, at least. Although, John, I mean, they are firemen. I mean, I guess if... I don't know if he really thought this was going to work. I mean, you would think they would have noticed the fucking fire alarm, John. But I mean, just, desperation. He had to try something. The first guy to go. Mr. Policeman. No, he doesn't know he's a policeman yet. I forgot what the way he says it. But... See, they gave a little bit of room where he could have snuck out. So there's a nice little piece of direction. They don't have him turn the corner quite yet. There's still a little bit of time. Of course, yeah, I know the German are the bad guys. I would assume people who are German, that's how they got tired of a lot. God, another German being a fucking bad guy? Can we have any German good guys? I mean, it is what it is. I don't know what to tell you. I don't think any offenses to be made about that. You're a policeman. There are rules for policemen. And those are like big glasses, dude. This is back in the 80s when you had big, thick-ass glasses. I guess the people in the lower floors would not be able to hear this machine gun fire. I guess. There's definitely some stump people using this. Dude, that's pretty, I mean, might not seem much, but it's pretty dangerous. You got two people rolling down the stairs. One has to hold another's neck. I mean, there's a lot of ways that could go wrong fairly quickly. Good job on the guy there, because when you lay the head down, you have to think how much of a smack that would be, and he didn't win, so he took that. Because those stairs are not fucking made of cotton. I mean, I know it's not, I don't know, just one of those little things. Got some supplies there, lighter you'll use later in the vent. Ammo. Fake IDs. And shoes are too small. See, there more Christmas stuff. And who's that Christmas movie? And this is where you don't get the I have a machine gun. Ho ho ho. Getting part of that smart ass mentality of John. Get people under his get them under your skin, so to speak. I did that whole claustrophobic angle of using the elevators and vents, and you just see this guy get more and more beaten up, more and more bloody, more and more of his clothes being torn up. He's got a little bit of blood on the shirt. It's going to get a lot dirtier and his whole body a lot more ripped up and ripped apart as it goes along. It makes for an interesting transition for your hero. And here's John McClane saying, surprise. Surprise! I wonder whose idea was this, of the writers. Who came up with this specific thing of writing this on the bad guy's shirt? That must seem like something Bugs Bunny would do if Bugs Bunny killed people. If Bugs Bunny killed people, he would write something like that. Yeah, Carl, that was his name. Alexander Grudenoff, because that's this guy's brother. The character, that is. And Grudenoff is the lead henchman. That's Alexander Grudenoff from Waxwork 2 and The Money Pit and such. And so not only do I have to deal with terrorists, but just the whole construction of this fucking skyscraper having to survive things like this so he doesn't get fucking crushed. That's a great shot showing, your actual actor in the elevator shaft. Definite cat and mouse aspect to it. Yeah, and that shirt's going to get more and more dirty as it goes along. I know that shirt is usually called a wife beater. There's not many people call the shirt that nowadays, but at one time, the shirt John McClane wore was called a wife beater. But yeah, I don't think it's called like that nowadays. And little details like the scene before where you have that naked chick, and there are times where Bruce will at one point touches it. And little details like that give the film a bit of character. Yeah, John Wayne. What do you think? No, John McClane. Tell it to Tatagi. Tatagi ain't saying shit about it. Alice, you dick. He gets to the roof to try to get some help, try to talk to someone. I think it's those reactions, like, no fucking shit, you think I'm ordering a pizza? That just, number one, makes you relate to the character, because we've all been there where we talk to someone on the phone and they just won't listen and they treat you like a fucking moron and putz. I know that was one thing that when the... Oh, that's a great shot. Almost was like he fell off the fucking building. I know there are edits where John falls off and then it cuts to the end where you have a body falling to the ground. It does look like he's ready to fall off the fucking... Which is probably why they use that shot. It's like, oh shit, he's gonna fall off the building? No. Reginald VelJohnson. And his Twinkies. Of course, would also be on the TV show Family Matters, which was about him and his family, but then became the Steve Urkel show. That's really what it became after a bit. I know Reginald VelJohnson would say, people still come up and ask him, what are the ingredients of a Twinkie? Because he says that later on to John on the radio. But I was saying before, like, when Siskel Ebert reviewed this, Gene Siskel gave it a thumbs up, but Roger Ebert gave it a thumbs down, and he gave it a thumbs down for the dumbest of reasons. And I don't hate Roger Ebert. There are times where I'm like, oh cool, he gave a thumbs up to The Golden Child, he gave a thumbs up to Leviathan, he gave a thumbs up to Inframan. I mean, but here, oh, the cops are stupid, the cops are too stupid, and I'm like, really? That's... You have a great hero, a great villain, great action, great set pieces, humor, character, and you're complaining because the LA cops are... Some of them are foolish? Wow, that's... People got paid for that. And you got paid for that, you know? But Speed 2 is a great movie, apparently. I think the action really keeps going at a rapid fire pace where you have John McClane having to think on his feet. What is he going to do next? He's got to keep him at bay. He's got this fucking fan. I got to find a way to get out of this fan. It's almost going to cut me in half. You know, what am I going to do next? Yeah, you can tell it's gonna hurt. Especially near his fucking feet. Yeah, he ain't gonna be happy about that. Yeah, there's a moment he touches the picture of the ladies. Then little moments like that are fun. Yeah, it brings a little character to the John McClane character. A little personality, I should say. I think that's another thing this movie does well. You just feel more and more sorry for this guy with the stuff he's got to do. You know, dealing with cramped spaces and dealing with, you know, getting more and more hurt, seeing more and more bruises and cuts on him. You know, then the whole thing with the feet. Here with the dealing with the heights and having to catch this thing by luck and chance. Yeah, they ain't gonna help. Let's get in there. Have to use his damn gun. Oh shit. And it's like, you know, he's trying his best to get through this. Even when the gun's fucking slipping. Ready to fuck up and fold upon him. Just reach it, just barely reaching it. Guessing that's some kind of forced perspective kind of shot that made it seem as if he's a lot higher than he really is. Or maybe some kind of painting down below. That's a pretty decent fall. That's not an easy thing to do. And the fact that there's no cuts with that, just a boom, 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 and then catches it. It's not edited to bits, which would ruin the shot of it. The fact you see him fall in one shot and almost bounce and then grab the thing. Get together, have a few laughs. And just cramped as hell place for this vent. This is one of those things people remember so much, is him crawling through the vents in this. Because it's one of those things like, what would you do in that situation? It's a thing to, in a way, an easy thing to put your mind in. It's like, wow, that really cramped, claustrophobic feel. You're in this tin can with bad guys ready to kill you. You know, what would you do? Close but no cigar. I forget what kind of gun the bad guys have, but I like that certain specific machine gun. Whenever I see that look, I always think of this movie. Because I'm sure they've been in other movies, but I can't think of them off the top of my head. When I see that design of a machine gun, it always goes back to this movie. The ones that the bad guys are carrying. I'm sure gun aficionados will know the exact term of that gun. There's Reginald Vell Johnson again. It's not going to have a good day. And now his shirt's like completely not white anymore. I know there's a little deleted scene that showed like there was a bunch of dirt and shit on there. That's why his shirt is so dirty. But I guess they cut that out, because you could just assume, like, it's a fucking vent. You know, you're going through a vent, it's going to be fucking dirty. It's not like people don't go in and, dust the vents every year? No. Especially if it's a place under construction, probably been dusted for a fucking year. So, yeah, it's going to be dirty and shit. And people can figure that out without having to show it. Who's driving this car? It's Stevie Wonder? Now, with the sequels, I like 1 through 4 with Die Hard. Die Hard 2, which is another paid with Chris Jonathan Lindsey gave, so I'll do a commentary for that sometime. Maybe I'll do it right after this. Make a separate video, of course. But Die Hard 2, I never knew it got hated on as it did, but I think that's a very underrated sequel. I like the first film more, but Die Hard 2 I think is a very worthwhile sequel. Die with a Vengeance, very worthy third installment. John McTiernan coming back. Bruce Willis worked with a insane fun chemistry with Samuel L. Jackson. The fourth film, I saw in the theater and had a ball watching it in the theater. And then when I got on DVD Blu-ray, it's like, oh wow, there's an uncut version? Cool. So I quite enjoyed that. Now, there's a Die Hard 5. I saw that in the theater. I desperately wanted to like it. That's why I fooled myself into liking it. But it wasn't. It wasn't a good movie. It wasn't a good Die Hard film, and it wasn't a good popcorn action film. It just has a lot of issues. In particular, the way it's directed, and the writing wasn't that good. The villains were horrible. Nice blood squibs again. And you know, him doing his cop business, he doesn't just shoot the guy, he actually tells them to put the gun down. They won't listen. So he has to defend himself. This time you have a chance to kill someone, don't hesitate. Thanks for the advice. No more table. That's what this guy says. Go on, pal. I don't know why I love this guy. I don't know his name. I don't even know his character's name, but just this guy just... Ooh. Right along the crotch area. Thanks for the advice. And it's like, okay, you're not going to listen to me? I'm going to make you listen to me. Going to give you a fucking Christmas and birthday present. Again, this whole, it's not a Christmas... I keep saying it because I keep hearing, like, from Bruce Willis and all these other guys, it's not a Christmas movie. They just wish he's had a Merry Christmas. Then he was just humming, let it snow, let it snow. And he's going to do that in just another second or two. Let it snow, let it snow, let it snow. Hello there. Here's your... Welcome to the party, pal. I guess the bad guys do, like... Pretty irresponsible for Bruce, though. I mean, if you think about it. If these bad guys were worth a shit, they would have killed Reginald VelJohnson's character. And what if they did? What if, while they're shooting this machine gun, what if they shot Reginald to pieces and shot him in the head, and then you have a dead cop, and that'd be John McClane's fault. It would be John McClane's fault that Sergeant Al Powell was dead. I did. If the terrorists knew how to shoot, say, wow, John McClane caused the death of Sergeant Al Powell here. We don't think of it now because we know that's not the case, but I'm just saying, in retrospect, that's pretty fucking irresponsible of John McClane to do. No, goddammit, no. Because that was William Atherton as reporter. He was dickless in Ghostbusters. Yes, this is true. This man has no dick. He was that guy in Ghostbusters. Not Ghostbusters 2, but Ghostbusters 1, the first one. He didn't come back for the sequel. Came back for Die Hard 2, but not for Ghostbusters 2. He was also in Biodome with Pauly Shore, William Atherton. But again, that's one of the things, many things that makes this film work and such a classic is, you know, what's the thing people say? You gotta have a great hero and a great villain, And a lot of times you get one or you get the other or you get neither. But very rarely do you get both. And in this case, it's definitely, I mean, considered one of the best villains in action films, Hans Gruber, and one of the best heroes in action films, John McClane. And you culminate to this, you know, these fun back and forth conversations. I'm just a monkey in the wrench, just a pain in the ass. And then you have a sinister guy like Alan Rickman, but he's still got that cool charisma factor as the villain. I do like the Rambo reference coming up. I was always partial to Roy Rogers. Now, of course, the classic line here. And I wonder who actually wrote that line. Like, who wrote Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker? Was that an ad-lib on set? Was that one of the writers? Like, who specifically wrote that line? Because that's become one of the most famous lines in movie history. Not just, I mean, of any line. If you say yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker, people know what it is, who you're talking about, what movie you're talking about. You know it, and then some. Now, this woman who plays Gail Wallen, she has been in quite a few stuff. She was a psychiatrist in Lethal Weapon films. She's the one who warns that Riggs is off his rocker in the first film. I think she was the mom in the Goonies. I believe that was the case. Now I'm just watching the film, so I just... That's the tough thing with me doing commentaries, is that I don't know what to say for the full 2 hours or whatever the running time is. I just don't know. It's a bit hard for me to do commentaries, to be honest. After a while, I just run out of stuff to say. This is not a bad film I'm going to make fun of, and there's only, how much more can I praise a film when I've been praising for an hour and change? So I know it's not the most interesting commentary, but... I do wonder about that pause. Like, he gives his long pause, he kind of looks over, and then he goes, cigarettes. Was that because he thought he heard something, or was it because he just realized something? Or maybe just, have a little bit of pause just for dramatic effect? I don't know. And that's another thing that works is these two. It's funny, like these two, you feel like a friendship beginning and just over the radio. And I think it's just because these two actors did their jobs well, and the dialogue written works very respectful to both characters. It's funny, you always think of like, oh, how was it working with Bruce Willis? But they're never on screen except the very, very end of the movie. And this is another thing that it's such that, they bring him back for part two in like a very brief moment and then never again. Not in Die Hard 3, not in Die Hard 4, not in the fifth one. Just no more Sergeant Al Powell, no more original Bill Johnson. And this is Paul Gleason who plays this. He was definitely the guy that pretty much Roger Ebert based his whole negative review on, is this character. Oh, this guy is so stupid, and how could him, the cops, be so foolish, and so you don't base the entire movie on that? Plus, I thought Paul Gleason did well for who he was supposed to be. And there are competent cops. Does he not? Did Roger Ebert not see Reginald Val Johnson's character, who's also LAPD and competent? With a capital C? Reginald Val Johnson knows what he's doing. The character knows what he's doing. But it's like he forgot about that. He fixates so much on Paul Gleason's character. And that's a smart thing with Bonnie Bedelia's character, is that she doesn't use the last name, so he can never put two and two together, and he says Miss to really throw off the fact that she has a husband or ex-husband. I mean, it might not seem like a big deal to a lot of people, but it's like, okay, yeah, she is being smart. I think audiences appreciate a character being smart, even if it's in a little manner and not like a big plot-changing manner. This hard guy realizing he's a bit fucking stuck. That makes me wonder, like, all this stuff with Argyle was all done in one day. I would assume so. I would assume so. Oh, don't bring him back. Well, I assume they would have to bring him back for like the ending of the film, or the scene with maybe the scene with the car trashes to Theo's van. I mean, it does show, but yeah, at the same time, you need a little bit of conflict on the outside here. Yeah, you can make the cops 100% competent, but then you want some drama involved, or you want something for the bad guys to like. If the cops were 100% competent, then you would have no action, because the bad guys would have no reason to shoot at the lights, shoot at this, shoot at that. So yes, you could sacrifice realism for fun escapism. And I'm fine with that. Especially when in this case not a big fucking deal, unless what some critics want to say. I tell you what kind of people you're dealing with here. Oh shit. Yeah, these guys are equipped and prepared and have a big fucking arsenal. Yeah, they ain't gonna make it. They have back in the day like these old ass computers, like all this stuff to run these computers. Nowadays it'd just be like a little box in the corner. Just shows how much computers have changed in the decades since. I always thought this was a weird bit coming up. One of them gets pricked by like a tree, a thorn. I always thought that was a bit. I kind of wonder like why is that in the movie? I mean it's not a big deal. I just thought it was weird. Like, oh, I pricked my finger. Like, I just the more show the incompetence of what these guys are compared to this group of bad guys. And this is a oh guy, I know his name. Al Leon. Al Leon. He was in where he gets the Crunch Bar. Al Leon, you've seen him. He was Genghis Khan in Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. He was a guy electrocuting Mel Gibson, the first Lethal Weapon. He was in Big Trouble in Little China as one of the part of the gang of bad guys in that alley war where Jack Burton and Dennis Dunn's character were watching. He had a teeny tiny bit role in I Come in Peace. Ton of stuff. Also the score, I mean, not many people talk about the score of Die Hard, but it fits it very well. I mean, I wouldn't say it's a score that I would hum, like Indiana Jones or Rambo. But it's still a score that works with the movie very well. So yeah, it's not a score I listen to in my free time. But when you watch the films, okay, it works for the tone. It works for... It doesn't seem out of the blue. It doesn't seem like, oh, this music doesn't fit. No, it fits very well with the movie. But I do think it's one of those scores that, again, it fits well for the movie, but it's not something I listen to on my own. They're shooting at the lights. An interesting choice for the villain to say, oh, just wound them. Don't kill them, just wound them. Which is a smart decision, because that way, I don't know, because the characters are wounded, the cops won't feel so gun-ho compared to if they were murdered and killed. Then maybe the cops would be like, oh, fuck them, let's go in. I don't know how to explain it. To me, I can understand why the villains would not murder the cops right now. Except this armored vehicle. With their fucking rockets. And this German guy just fucking cursing up a storm in the elevator. And that's a nice little bit there, realizing that that's the elevator they use, so that later on, shit, they're explosive. There's a reason as to, well, why does he think that'll work? Because he saw the elevator coming down. So it's nice that they have that little shot there to link the two ideas together. Now I'm watching this, the Blu-ray, which was the box set that had the 4 Die Hard films. It had a bonus disc, which the features are fine. I just think Die Hard is one of those that deserves a full-length, like a feature-length documentary. The fact that Die Hard still does not have a feature-length documentary is insane to me, because it's considered by many to be one of the best fucking action films of all time. But I mean, on the feature, like Alan Rickman will talk about the film, John Mctiernan will talk about the film, Reginald Johnson. Bruce Willis won't, because Bruce Willis, I mean, he's too busy being fucking bored doing shit like Hard Kill. Nice explode. The quarterback is toast. You pissed off John McClane. And see, I see scenes like this, and Bruce Willis, like his face. His face actually has emotion and worry. Like, nowadays, Bruce Willis has the same look, and it never changes. But you watch a film like this, and Die Hard 2, and even Die Hard 3, it's like, his eyes are, he's worried, he's concerned, he's angry, like, actual emotion. It's not just the dead stare. Like, imagine, okay, he had that at the beginning, which is understandable. He's cool, he's going into the city, he's calm. But in this moment, he's supposed to be mad and pissed off. And you see that in the expression of Bruce Willis' face. And in the way he voices the dialogue, like, fuck it, you know. And his inflection and tone of his voice, like, with that old school computer monitor. Take this under advisement, jerkweed. I love it. One of my favorite parts is this. That's a big fucking explosion. Took out a whole fucking floor of the building. And even he doesn't realize the massive... He's like, what? Shit. Good stunt as well, to get away that explosion. And he just blew up an entire fucking floor of the building. Took out those bad guys though, at least 2. They're not shooting any more rockets now. There's William Atherton again. Mostly when you see him in films, he usually plays an asshole. Like Biodome, Ghostbusters. That picture doesn't look like Alan Rickman. I don't know what it is. I mean, it's supposed to be Hans Gruber. That picture doesn't look like him though. Unless he stole that name from someone. But no, it's supposed to be his name because Simon Gruber is the name of his brother in the 3rd film. It just, I don't know, that picture, it doesn't look like Alan Rickman. It looks like someone else. Maybe it is. It just, I was something about it. This is the scene I used in my rant on Glass. Just because of this line coming up. Glass? Who did shit about Glass? Who the fuck is this? This is M. Night Shyamalan, piece of shit director who's overrated as fuck. And I'm in charge of the situation. Oh, you're in charge. Well, I got something bad news for you, M. Night. From up here, it doesn't look like you're in charge of jack shit. Asshole. I'm not the one who just got buff fucked on national TV, M. Night. And even that little bit where Argyle's laughing, like they didn't. Don't let the audience forget that character exists. Have him put a little piece there, give a little bit of fun. So that, oh, it's nice to see him at the end. It's not just after the beginning, he just outright disappears so we never go back to him again. Because you'd be surprised how many films would tend to do stuff like that. The thing with mellow yellow is, I mean, sometimes, and sadly this is one of them, you get a batch that has a little bit of a different taste. Almost like they use a bit too much, I don't want to say, I don't know what you call it. Like a little bit too much corn syrup or something. But I can still taste enough of the mellow yellow that it's still nice. But usually that's when you drink it from cans, not so much from bottles. I think next time I order, I might go for the bottles. Of course, Al is trying to save his ass. Granted, he doesn't turncoat 100% because he says, well, I invite you to the party, so he doesn't put Holly in there. So at least there's that he doesn't do. He doesn't mention Holly's name and doesn't, again. So at least there's a little bit of humanity to him, but still, you know, it's this trying to save his own ass thing, trying to kiss ass to... Oh, you ate an old ass Twinkie. And this is where he grows all the ingredients. I'm sure by this point Reginald has just memorized that, because I guarantee you so many people have asked him, what are the ingredients of a Twinkie? And it's moments like this that does humanize the character of John McClane, where he gets worried and he gets scared. Even that little, you know, when he's holding his thumb with the picture, you see a little bit of blood under the fingernail. Just little touches to show that he's, you know, a human being. So Ellis does give his name, which is an asshole thing to do. You're neither, shithead. And with Live Free or Die Hard, it was cool that there was an unrated cut. But you kind of notice with the cursing, at times, it seems some of that cursing was after the fact. Because a lot of times the cursing was, you don't see his lips, or he's off screen. So it's like ADR, throw a curse here, throw a curse there. Like, they didn't do that on set. And they said, oh, you know, ADR, just throw some curses here, throw some curses there. Which to me, it should have been the other way around. Or it just make it R-rated in the fucking first place. I think the movie would have made just as much money R-rated than it did with PG-13. I really do. But Live Free or Die Hard I love. I still think it's a very fun movie. See right here, like Bruce Willis is showing actual fucking emotions. Like, hey, you shouldn't be doing this. What the fuck you doing? Don't play around with these guys. And John McClane, what can he do? He can't bring the detonators down because they would just shoot him in the head in 2 seconds. There'd be no reason to keep him alive. Boom, you're dead for all the trouble you gave us. We don't need you alive. The detonators, obviously don't use that for something horrible. And John McClane's trying to tell him, but he won't fucking listen. That's why you don't do cocaine. Despite what he thought, his fucking cokehead brain. Got himself killed. Fucking idiot. That's a PSA, don't do drugs, or you'll do stupid shit like this. Just don't do cocaine. Well, you don't see a lot of movies dealing with cocaine nowadays. It seems like after the 80s and 90s, the cocaine... They don't really... Unless I could be forgetting about movies, but again... Reginald Vel Johnson's like the audience. He's alone, tired, and he ain't seen diddly squat from anybody down here. When you wake up, smell what you're shoveling. No, sir, you're trying to drive me away. Now, of course, because of this stuff going on, they're going to get the feds in here pretty soon. But yeah, this movie goes at a good pace. I mean, we're already an hour and 26 minutes in. We got about 30-40 minutes left. Yep, there he is with blood. Nice little detail too, that obviously there's a hole in his head, so when it passes by you see a little bit of light glistening through the head. Bruce was like, what the fuck? Asian Dawn. And even Elizabeth was like, Asian Dawn? I read them in time. See, it even gives the villains a little bit of personality, a little bit, so that they're not just one-note characters. And that's the thing, you get really good actors to portray them as well. See, another Christmas reference. It's Christmas Theos, Time of Miracles. So don't give me this is not a Christmas movie shit. And see, after this, like I said, you had Die Hard 2 in 1990. You did have a Nintendo game, and the Nintendo game I never cared for. I thought the NES game was really awful. I didn't care for the way where you pretty much, when you go in, you don't know what the fuck you're supposed to do unless you read a fucking guide. So what the fuck are you supposed to do? And I get that it's trying to be a little bit more, what I say, advanced compared to a fucking regular Nintendo game, but still, again, it seems really fucking confusing. It's like, what the hell are you supposed to do? But, yeah, I could never care for the Nintendo game. There's one for, I want to say Turbo Graphics, that seemed a bit more, you know, fun. Actual, like a top-down view where you're going around shooting bad guys. You're outside of the building, then you go into the building, which is strange. Just the opening shows you're in the building, but then the first stage is you outside the building. But still, it seemed. Then there's Die Hard Arcade, which is I always wish I could play that game again, but emulators will not play that fucking game. No matter what emulator I try, it will not play Die Hard Arcade. I don't know if there's something special I need to do, but I can, no matter what the fuck, if anyone knows how to play Die Hard Arcade on any emulators, please let me know and what the fuck I need to do. Otherwise, you have to buy, I forget, the Sega Saturn, I think, came out. And I remember that being a fun beat-em-up game. Very fun beat-em-up game. That was decades ago that I played that. And they made a lot of games. Sadly, not many of them I could play. I mean, I think there's one called Nakatomi Plaza. There's one called Die Hard. Not Vengeance. Die Hard. I forgot what the fuck it was called now. But like one's overseas on PS2, so you can't play on this PS2. Another one I think is for GameCube only, and I've never owned a GameCube. Just one of those things where... Now, of course, there's Die Hard Trilogy that I remember playing, and there's Die Hard Trilogy 2 for PlayStation. I think there's another interesting idea, like have the hero and villain meet, but he doesn't know he's the villain. So I only recommend is pretend to be this hostage, and I think it shows like a certain the villain's very smart. Let me pretend to be this hostage. Let me pretend to be this scaredy cat coward. I think this is really interesting scene where you have your two meet and one doesn't know who the other is. Although John McClane, it seems like he does have at least an inkling, which will lead up to that. And here we got the FBI guys. We got Robert Davi on the left. Robert Davi, he's been in Predator 2, Maniac Cop 2, Maniac Cop 3. He was in Expendables 3. Robert Davi's been in a lot of stuff. And the other guy, I think he was in Free Jack. I know he's been in other stuff. I'm trying to remember though, top of my head. Now we're back to this scene here. Again, this is the type of scene you don't see in a lot of these type of action movies. And it is very clever and unique. And again, it shows how smart the villain is, and but even the hero has a little bit of doubt, understandably so. Who knew? That also establishes that nice shot of, oh, now Hans has realized he has no shoes, and that'll lead to later on. And he looks at the name and it's like, oh, hey, what's your name? As okay, there is a Clay. WM. I'm like, WM, does that mean woman? But no, I don't think that's what it means. And so do a test, which is a smart thing for John McClane to do. A test to see, like, is this guy who he thinks he is? If he is, he's going to try to shoot me. If not, things will be okay. So again, it shows that you have you two leads not be dumb, idiotic characters. A nice framing of the shot. Close up of him, and then close up of the bad guy. Both in the same frame, though. And again, back when characters could actually fucking smoke on screen. I know it's bad for you. I never smoked, but it does give a cool factor to the characters. You know, a little bit of, you know, some visual note. It's not like, oh, we took that out of the movies. Now people have stopped smoking. Not really. People have smoked fucking more nowadays than they did back then. So, there you go. Nice, gets one another guy. Nice synchronization of the broken glass. Good sound effects too. The muzzle flashes, they don't look cheap. This looks very painful. He get boom, head first to the glass after just obliterating his fucking kneecaps. I didn't like, ooh, it gives that factor. Getting good stunts, setting up the shots. And John Mctiernan knew what he was doing at this point. I mean, having worked previously on Predator, this guy definitely showed his action movie chops. And that was definitely a good precursor to this. And they did, using their brains, shoot the glass. It is a very smart idea. And you don't have a lot of scenes like this where, okay, it's a regular gunfire sequence, add a little bit something peculiar or interesting about it. Okay, they're just shooting the glass for a reason. It makes it seem a bit different from the normal gunfire sequence. Yeah, that's gonna hurt. Again, that's one of those things you just really feel sorry for the main character, and you just like, ugh, just having to walk across, well, really run across glass like that. And then the one that's like stuck in the foot. Here, take your fucking detonators. Now, Carl don't give a shit. This guy killed his brother. She's a bit worried. Did John get killed? Nope, because... Only John can make someone that, somebody that crazy. And yeah, this is the shot coming up here. Just the fucking glass. Ugh. Again, you don't see a lot of action movies detail stuff like that, where whether it be an arm, like, I mean, you have First Blood where he's got to sew that up, and you got this film. Not a whole lot though. That'd be interesting if you had an action film in the middle, like someone with the guy's eye, and he starts losing his sight in the eye because of what happened, because of an action scene. And then how does he deal with that as with the upcoming events? And here you get natural development of the secondary character. And there's a reason why he tells the story and why we hear it, because that culminates at the end where he's able to fire a gun again. No, they say he shot a kid. They didn't say he killed a kid. So, it could very well he shot the kid and the kid survived. Not that he killed a kid. Of course, that'll culminate at the end where he finally does pull his gun out. And when it matters, I should say. Here's Hans pretty much letting the audience know his whole plan with the FBI, why he concocted a lot of this in the first place. And that's why they pretend to be terrorists in the first place. The FBI. The federal buttfuckery of incompetency. Now this guy here in the orange, that is Rick Dukeman. Rick Dukeman, he was in the Burbs. He's one of the stars of the Burbs with Tom Hanks. He had a big part in Gremlins 2. Sadly, he passed away way, way too early, which is sad. We'll love him still be around. Yeah, one of those character actors that, you would see him pop up from time to time. And, it is interesting, like, not too soon, pretty soon after this, not too long after this, he was in The Burbs with Tom Hanks, where he was, like, almost the second lead after Tom Hanks. The Joe Dante film. Step by step. And nowadays you have a lot of people talking about the 80s and 80s movies, and people go, well, why is that the case? Why do people keep thinking about these 80s movies? Because you have this culmination of rising special effects, practical effects, where you had the decade of excess, where let's go bigger, we're not worried about 100% realism. It's about escapism, it's about fun, it's about entertainment. So, and they were, in a way, pure in their thought process on that factor. It wasn't constantly winking at the audience and, oh, well, we're kind of serious. No, they were sincere in that. And also, like, the way the films look, like, it's such a better looking movie. They look like films nowadays with HD, and either have people filming on their shitty fucking cameras or filming on stuff that looks like it costs $5 or it's looking so pristine. It feels more artificial than a film like this and its film quality. There's no fucking filters. There's no, we don't tweak the cinematography. No, you had to get it right on the fucking set. You had to light it like you wanted to. Because you're doing it on film. Not some fucking digital that you go in and you tweak this, and you tweak 10,000 other things, so it makes it feel more artificial, because a lot of it is artificial, even when you're just tweaking the filters, you're tweaking the coloring, all that jazz. And so you take something, even if it looked more authentic, it becomes less authentic because you keep fucking around with it. That's why a lot of these films look better than the films of today, especially when you watch them in HD, and they look like a film, like, to me, what a film should be. I'm not going into these films to see real life. I'm going in this escape from reality for 90 minutes or 2 hours. But that's now, you know, a lot of times that's not really the case. But a movie like this, they still have real moments. Like this here, where you have your hero steered. And he's scared that he won't make it. And if he doesn't make it, please tell my wife I've been a jerk and I apologize. And that's a real human moment that you never see. You never see with the John McClane character anymore. You definitely didn't see in Die Hard 5. And his acting, like, you look at Bruce Willis, he cares. He gives a shit. It's a good acting moment. If you paid him $1 million for a day, he still wouldn't give a performance this much, because he just doesn't have the passion. He does not care. He just doesn't care anymore. And when you don't care, you just show up. Am I paid yet? Then no, I don't have respect for the guy. I don't. I have no reason to. You have the best job in the world. You have a job that me and others would be fucking lucky to ever be a part of. You're at a point in your career that you could be the fucking star of any movie with a certain budget. Yeah, he could be all these direct-to-video movies. If he said, hey, I'd like to star in the film, they would fucking do it just like that. And the fact that, you know, he wastes it. That's why Nicolas Cage, at least some of his films, I don't feel he's sleepwalking. Some of them are bad, but then you get Mandy, you get Color Out of Space, you get what looks like this upcoming film that's kind of like Five Nights at Freddy's. Looks interesting. This one I saw, Pay the Ghost, which was pretty good. In my opinion, I liked it. Nick Cage is trying. And he's not fucking soulless. Even if the film isn't that good, I'm like, well, it's not really because of Nick Cage. Unless it's something like Ghost Rider 2, which he's just going too over the top. But I just want to say at least over the top is more than what Bruce Willis and Steven Seagal do nowadays. And it's just fucking sad and pathetic. Fucking pathetic. Yeah, now because he had to use his shirt for his feet, now no shirt anymore. With all the glass and all the other stuff going on, just more and more bruised up. Now there's a shitload of C4 for the fucking roof. There's Carl. Yep. Fucking double cross. And now more than just knockdown battle. It's not really big, intricate moves. It's just again more of a rough and tumble fight and brawl. But it works for the situation. It works for what kind of movie it is, and it works for the purpose of it. And William Atherton fucks it all up. And because he saw John McClane earlier, now he knows what he looks like. And because Ellis told his name, he knows that's his name, you know. Just all the little pieces that are put together in order to culminate in that moment. And you didn't, at this time, you didn't see a lot of heroes get beaten up like this, unless it's Rocky in a movie, but, you know, just getting the shit kicked out of them in this nature. But I mean, 1988, I was talking about, you know, films that came out that year, like action films. You had Rambo 3, which I love. You had Above the Law with Steven Seagal, his first film. You had Bloodsport, that really jump-started Van Damme's career. You had, I think, Red Heat with Arnold, which I like. And yeah, these FBI guys, the fact that like 20-25% hostage, we give, hey, tops, that's what get killed. Oh, I can live with that. And look at that, real helicopters. Like actual real helicopters going among the city. Not fucking CGI. Because we're too lazy. No, fuck it. We need... You know what? Maybe that's something they should actually try to do. Fuck this. You want to make an 80s type of movie, then you look at what the fuck they had in the 80s to do to make a film. That's what you can fucking do. All these films that want to be 80s so badly. It's like, how about this? How about you take back your technology and go... how would they do this in the 80s? Map painting, stop motion, actual real fucking helicopters... lighting, no filtering. How about you film on actual film and then you can put it on your digital if you really need, I mean, since they don't really have a lot of places to develop that film anymore. All these bonds. I'm gonna kill you, I'm gonna fucking cook you, I'm gonna fucking eat you. That's not, I mean, that's such an out of the blue, but I love it. I love that type of dialogue. Just, it's not something you hear the hero say, but just like, I'm gonna fucking kill you, I'm gonna cook you, I'm gonna fucking eat you. I think just sort of that wise ass persona. I know, I don't know how the fuck this guy survived being hung like this. Well, I guess, I mean, somehow he lifted himself up, I guess, and got out of there. See, even these FBI guys, they have a little bit of personality. I mean, they're dickheads, but they still bring a little bit of personality to them. And yet you know just enough that these are pieces of trash so you don't really feel bad when they get killed. Here goes Al Leon. Boom, 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 boom. Then nice blood squibs. Very bloody. Get closer to them and talk. This helicopter pilot must be blind. He's not shooting anywhere at the hostages. He's shooting in the fucking air. If he shoots at the hostages, he's a bad aim. Does he look like he's shooting at them? I mean, these people must be fucking blind. I'm on your side, assholes. But again, just you really feel for this character is the amount of shit that he goes through. You know, this one after the other. He's losing more clothes. He's getting more bloody. He's getting more dirty. He's getting more hurt. His feet are all cut up. Now he's got to do this fucking thing. Because he can't get back up, I guess. He cannot get back up there. And see, when people go, oh, well, Die Hard 4 is too unreal. I mean, none of the Die Hard films are realistic. There are moments of realism in the movie, but when you see something like this, it's pure escapism fun. Like, you're not going to survive this. You jump off a fucking building, the roof blows up, and somehow the fucking fire hose doesn't get blown up, somehow it doesn't fucking burn up, somehow the line is still there, even though the entire roof looks like it's been blown the fuck up, and it hangs just long enough for him to crash through a window. But I don't care, it's fun. It's a great shot, it looks cool, like that looks epic. That wide shot looks cool. That looks like a great stunt. Looks like a real guy hanging off a building with fire. Luckily that thing hung on, and then just deliver him to his death. And hangs on just long enough for him to shoot. But it's a great set of it's a great sequence. You're able to let it go and go with it. That fun, almost Indiana Jones, I mean the escapism. Like in the old days of the serials. Which a lot of younger people don't know what a cereal is. Is that the one you eat? This is cereal with an S. And it works. It works very well because, again, the effects crew, the way it's edited, it looks good too. I mean, the practical pyrotechnics, the better than what CGI would have made it. And this right here is just this, with the helicopter. Boom! It's like, fuck, when is it going to end for this poor sumbitch of a character? I'm guessing with scenes like that when Paul Gleason's like, guess we need more FBI guys. That's what got up Roger Ebert's crawl. Even the fucking elevator's like, fuck this, I'm gone. That's what the elevator seemed like. All these things are blowing up beside me, fuck this, I'm out, and I'm just gonna blow up now, too. Our Christmas tree fell. So yes, it is a Christmas movie. Here's our guy going to get his big moment. Get this ambulance, this van. And of course he has limited bullets left, so what can he do? Is 2 bullets? Yeah. It's one for me and one for you. I shoot Holly, I shoot myself. And they even give a little supporting character like Argyle his moment to shine. The black on black crime. Smack you in the face right here. And I guess that's true. He's one of the few terrorists to survive, as well as this guy coming up. Boom. Because he's not dead, just knocked the fuck out. So yeah, these are the only two terrorists to live. Well, robbers, thieves. Theo and that guy. And just completely fucking bloodied up head to toe. Even Holly's like, fuck this. Just looking at John McClane all butchered up. There's Huey Lewis. It's not Huey Lewis, but again, like I said, that guy, one guy makes you think he's going to sing back in time. Gotta go back in time. Yep, it's a robbery. Yeah, when this film came out, it was a huge success. I mean, it definitely catapulted Bruce to the stardom. And like I said, I'm a big fan of the franchise other than the fifth film. And you have the cowboy come into town here. His quick draw here, except from the hip, it's from the back. Boom, boom. It's like a western, like the man with no name type of thing. This is a good piece of music. This is like one of the best pieces of music here. It really gives that sense of rising tension. And this is always a good fall, like a good shot. We see Alan Rickman fall. You're dropping... I think they dropped Alan Rickman from a forklift. And he did it. And for some reason I keep thinking, at this point, he has this real surprised look. Because I think they said 3, 2, 1, go. They were going to do that. And so they go 3, boom, they drop him. So he has this real... That's why Alan Rickman has almost real... Because they told him the wrong thing on purpose. Okay, we told him 3, 2, 1, go, but do it immediately. So he's like... more natural reaction. And then they had what I think what you call is a descending rig. You have a guy that is falling, but then by the end, slows up. Sometimes they have an airbag. I don't know if they had an airbag here. You don't see a lot of that too. I mean, that's... I get on one hand, you want to protect stunt people. Safety. So you use like digital people. I get that, but I would ask what the stunt people feel about that. I would feel that they would think, you know what, I want the job. I want to feed my family. I want to feed my kids. I want to take the risk. And you just have to make it safer. But sadly, there's always going to be room for an error. I died doing the stunt in the first Triple X movie with Vin Diesel. Or I think Deadpool 2 that happened. I think it was Deadpool 2, or maybe another one. It's always going to happen, no matter what, sadly. We got Reginald Vell Johnson here. And this is where they fell in love, ladies and gentlemen. Becomes a three-way party from then on. Actually, he's like, Holly, I'm sorry, I can't be with you anymore. I found my love chocolate. Here's my soulmate. It's a love story. People don't know that about Die Hard, huh? It's a love story. Peanut butter and chocolate right here. But it's a sweet moment, seriously. It's a nice sweet moment. Now this music is on the soundtrack for Aliens. Apparently this was like, there you go, yeah. This piece of music, again, if you listen to the soundtrack to Aliens, this music is on there. And Aliens came out 86, which means this was a piece James Horner did. And you know, a lot of times when they make a film, they'll have like a word print, and they'll put music in there until they get a composer. So I'm guessing they put this from Aliens, and he thought, man, it worked so perfectly. It wasn't in Aliens, it was one of the things cut out. Just use that music from Aliens. So that music is from Aliens. They're both 20th Century Fox movies. Don't believe me, look up the soundtrack to Aliens. It's near the second half of the... I think it's one... I forget if the track's either before or after Bishop's Countdown. It's... I think originally it was supposed to be when Ripley knocked the alien queen into the space when she's in the shuttle. I think that was supposed to be that music. I could be wrong. And then they went with the Bishop's Countdown yet again. Which I can understand is a great piece of music. Of course, it missed her punching the shit out of William Atherton. And before that, you know, Reginald V. Johnson get his glory moment to kill Carl, save the day. Again, people say, oh, it's not a Christmas movie. It is with Let Us Know, Let Us Know, Let Us Know. Come on now. Let us know, let us know, let us know. Bruce Willis, Bon Bedelia, Reginald V. Johnson. Devereaux White is Argyle. Yeah, Clarence Delia Jr. is Theo. He would be in Walter Texas Ranger later on. Grandel Bush, that's the other guy with Robert Davi. Grandel Bush, he would be in Free Jack with Emilio Estevez. He was in a bunch of other stuff. I'm just looking through the other actors. Let us know, let us know, let us know. See, is there anyone on stunts I recognize? George Wilbur. George Wilbur would play Michael Myers in Halloween. He had played him in Halloween 4. And then Halloween 6, I believe. And of course, you know, the trailer, you always have... Each Die Hard film has a number of trailers, and they always have one where it's... Let's see, let me mute that. Actually, what I'm doing is I forgot there's actually until now on this Blu-ray there was there's a text instead of subtitles. It will give how do I put it? Interviews with people via the sub, instead of subtitle of the movie, there's a text commentary. I don't know why I couldn't think of commentary. There's a text commentary so you can read. And it was Stephen D'Souza saying at the end here, via text, that, you know, the Die Hard type of thing dwindled, and the epitome of that is sudden death. And he said, I didn't see the film. I'm like, Stephen D'Souza, sudden death is better than Street Fighter, so you shouldn't say shit about it. But he's like, oh, the numbers were in. I overheard someone, and like, those can't be the numbers. We had more, bigger action and more hostages and all this. And then at one time, he was, hey, Steven, I got an idea. Stephen D'Souza. How about Die Hard in a building? I'm like, Die Hard is in a building. Literally, yeah, someone literally put, how about we do Die Hard in a building? Whoever the fuck that was, he probably still has a job, because that's the dumbest thing ever. Just do Die Hard in a building. But yeah, the movie itself is a classic. A bona fide classic. What more can I say? It's a bona fide classic. Give it a full-length documentary, finally. Now, Alan Rickman has passed away, and which is too bad. At least he's interviewed on the bonus disc on the Die Hard set. But with that said, thanks for watching, take care, and stay tuned for more videos. Later.